Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders with a Heart podcast. I have another awesome guest for you, my new good friend, Nidhi. She's actually the sister of a gentleman I had on my podcast about a few weeks ago, Vineet from the UK. And he kind of referred me to his sister because she also has an amazing mission, which is taking our sovereignty back so that we can create a more happy and fulfilled world, people, and then world. Because right now the world is the exact opposite. So it's going to be a beautiful conversation because not only she has a beautiful mission, because but also because she has a wonderful heart with a great mission. So Nidhi, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Payman. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine. So first of all, before we start, uh, for people who don't know you, who is Nidhi?
So Nidhi is um, a a young woman that is of Indian descent, but was born and brought up in England. And I've had the pleasure of being part of two very different cultures.
Hmm.
And also it's been kind of tough at times as well because you're not kind of completely Indian and you're also not really fully British. So it's kind of like, two worlds that collide and you have to create the best out of that you possibly can. So I feel like, for those of us that are, first generation immigrants, we've got very interesting stories to tell. Because we've got access to ideas and cultures that perhaps people that come from just one culture don't. So it's been a really interesting journey, being a British Indian. Um, and it's been even more interesting because I know for those of you that know, but Asian cultures, Indian culture, it's very much about education. It's about, being the doctor, the lawyer, the accountant, and kind of, like ticking off all of the milestones in life.
Hmm.
But then I think the moment you say you want to do something a little bit off of the beaten track, your parents' heart stops and they say, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" You know, um, and so myself and my brother were always those two people. And my mom would always joke, like, I wish I just had one normal child. Like, why couldn't at least one of them have become a doctor or a lawyer? Um, and so for myself, life has always very much been about what does it really mean to be a human being and what is our potential, what are we capable of, and even in the moments in life, those dark moments in life where you question, what is the point of my
Hmm.
life, and you kind of have like a bit of a midlife crisis way too early. Even in those moments I was always directed towards this question, what does it actually mean to be a human being, and how powerful are we, and I've done a whole bunch of stuff that's ultimately gotten me to this point. um, and I'm just constantly in awe of how powerful it is to be a human being. Constantly in awe.
Oh yes, oh yes, I can relate with that, especially the fact when you said earlier that your parents expected you to be either a doctor, a lawyer, or some high-powered engineer. It's the same thing in pretty much most cultures. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So before we start, as I said, my motto is inspiring entrepreneurs to do good. Are you ready to inspire?
absolutely. That's what
All
it's all
right,
about.
let's get going. So, as I said, what I really love to do is get to know the person, to look, so to speak, under the hood, what see what's in their heart, and so name leaders with a heart. So, first of all, I'd like to ask you some question around that. What makes you happy?
So there's a few things. Food makes me happy, but aside from that,
So,
um,
when you say food, do you mean heating, also cooking?
so actually, funnily enough, recently, I mean, I hated cooking. Anyone who knows me, they would be like, don't go to her house and eat her food because she doesn't know how to cook. But you can, how we think that we know ourselves, and then something happens, and actually we're introduced to this
Hmm.
completely brand new aspect of ourselves, and we think, what, like, where did this come from? And that's what happened to me, the last year and a half with food. I hated cooking food, but I loved eating food. And then suddenly it dawned upon me that I need to learn how to cook, because I need to feed myself. And
Sure.
then from this seamlessly, kind of like it just seems out of nowhere, I became really interested in ancient cooking techniques, like long form ancient ways of cooking
Yeah.
and using
Mm.
old ingredients, that were all about connecting ourselves to the divine, because a lot of the food that we eat nowadays, you can just about call it food, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you can just about call it food. And, and we have to wonder, what is it doing to our body, and what is it doing to the connection that we have with, call it divine, call it God, call it the universe, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So not only have I been interested in the connection to the divine, but also, just making really good, tasty, but healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so in that respect, yeah, food certainly makes me happy. And also because it brings people together,
Oh
you know,
yes, it's connected.
it's such a beautiful way to bring people together, to have great conversation, to let down all of the walls, the barriers,
Mm-hmm.
between people, cultures, race, religion. I love that. Yeah, and I think then that perfectly takes me on to the other thing that makes me happy, which is people, like,
Mm.
when people come together and they are able to completely be themselves and express who they are without the feeling of being judged, without the feeling of being persecuted. And it just creates so much magic, when like people are completely in their essence and they come together, it creates magic. And I love that. Like that brings me just absolute joy.
Amazing. Okay. What makes you smile?
Um, okay, so I'm gonna go with like the first thing that comes to mind. So I am a really big football fan. And being from
Mm.
England, I
What's your
support
team?
I support Liverpool.
Oh, me too.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I support Liverpool, and so they certainly make me smile. Um,
Not so much this past year, eh?
but it was decent. It was okay because we started off really bad. There was a point where I thought, are we even going to finish in the top 10?
Oh yeah.
So considering that we were still in the Champions League for next year, for those of you that don't know, big competition for
S-
football.
s-
So
Especially
we turned it around.
the injuries
Yeah,
have
yeah,
plagued
yeah.
your team.
Big
Big
time, big
key
time.
players. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Because at
yeah,
one point you guys looked almost like unstoppable in the first part of
yeah,
the season.
yeah, yeah. And then look what happened. And that's the thing, isn't it? Anything can happen. Anything can turn around. From
Oh
dark
yeah.
to light, it can happen. But then it's really about how you're going to pick yourself up.
Exactly.
And we really do have the greatest manager on the planet, Klopp. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, he's good. He's good. All right, cool. What makes you sad and angry?
um, I think this is twofold. So one thing that makes me sad or angry is seeing people give away their own power.
Mm,
But I think more than angry, that makes me sad because I think a lot of human beings don't recognize how powerful we are, and so it's very inbuilt into culture and society to teach human beings the power is not within you. Therefore, you should be looking outside and you should be giving it away to external authority. But then the thing that makes me angry is those companies, organizations, authority, governments, whatever it may be, that take advantage of that, knowing that people have forgotten that we are sovereign. And so then we can take advantage of that and we can strip them of their spirit.
mm-hmm.
We can strip them of everything that is powerful within them and make them feel that they are nothing without the authority.
Yes, I agree. I can imagine that. What scares you?
Unfulfilled potential.
Mm, that's a good one. Yeah. Do you feel do you feel that how do you feel about your potential so far? Do you feel that you're on the right path, or do you feel that you're worried about not fulfilling it to the fullest?
I feel like I'm on the right path now. There has been a
Mm.
lot of zigzagging, a lot of falling off, a lot of getting up, a lot of being very confused. I mean, I have found it very hard to be a human being at the best of times.
Oh yeah.
And and
I know.
I've looked at other people, like because we always look at other people and think that people have it better, right? So I've looked at other people and thought, how are you moving through life so easily? And here I am, like, I'm just about able to stand up and walk in a straight line,
Yeah.
so so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, life has been tough and I have had to battle my inner demons. And there have been points where I've thought I actually don't have the energy anymore to battle them. But like I say, life is always about potential. It's always about getting back on the horse, and that's really what I've been doing. So at this point in my life, I feel like I've really got myself on track.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm kind of, like I always think about the warrior, this kind of like I always have the idea of like the samurai in my mind. Like the samurai had a certain code that he lived by. And for us to be able to direct the way that we think and the way that we feel, is mastery. So life for me is about mastery. Not today, not tomorrow, but our entire life is
Oh
how
yeah.
masterful can we be each day. So I really feel like I'm getting there step by step.
It's a lifelong journey for sure, step by
Absolutely.
step. Hmm. So let me ask you now a couple of fun questions. When we were kids growing up, everybody asks us, so Nidhi, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer back then?
You know what I used to say? Because as a young child, I was quite pudgy because I liked eating. Um, and so if anyone asked me when I was a child, I would say I just want to be free enough to always run after the ice cream van.
So you wanted to have your own ice cream business, or
I think no, it wasn't even that far. Like I just wanted to always feel this sense of
mm,
freedom. Just children have this
yeah.
abandon about them. Life is not about conditions, circumstance, programs. It's just about
Hmm.
I want to do something. I'm just going to get up and I'm going to go do it. And for me, it was
Okay.
just to always have that sense of freedom, and
Hmm.
definitely always be chasing ice cream vans.
Yeah, me too. I can relate with that. So you mentioned that growing up in your family, the expectation was for you to become either a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. But you, what did you have in mind? What did you want to become? Did you have anything in mind, or that you really
You know
liked?
what? I don't think I had anything in mind. I mean, there were two parts of me. There was a conditioned
Mm-hmm.
mind that wanted
Mm-hmm.
to live up to expectation because it was so big, and so
Sure.
that part had said I want to be a lawyer. And so when I was in
Mm.
school, I was working towards getting myself into university so I could be a lawyer. But then there was the other part of me that was this kind of unknown part of me that I had never heard anyone talk about. I didn't have anyone around me that spoke about what is available to us beyond expectation. So there was this part of me that
Mm-hmm.
always wondered, well, what is it that I actually want to do? Like, can I be free? Is freedom a possibility?
Oh, I
And
like
so
that.
yeah, so it was often something that I thought about, but because it didn't match up to anyone's expectation, I always parked that part of my personality.
Mm.
So growing up I was always two people, but I fortunately unfortunately, however we want to see it now, I grew up trying to live up to expectation but always feeling the pain of
Mm-hmm.
not following that voice, that whisper within me that said, actually, go and be curious about life, go and actually see what life has to offer.
So at what point did you disassociate it from that and actually say, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go after following my heart? At what point? What was a specific event, or was it a crescendo, thing that a time came to say, I can't take it anymore. I just need to go after. So tell us about that. How did you finally said enough? I need to go after my dreams and not the expectation of family and society.
Yeah, so it was when I finally ended up in university.
Mm,
I mean, there were so many things that happened before that. I didn't actually want to continue studying after school because I knew that there was some sort of a drive within me that wanted to experience life beyond, this
mm-hmm.
structured system that I was told was going to be fantastic for me. But something within me told me, well, actually, I don't think it's going to be fantastic for me. There's other things that are waiting. Um, and so anyway, but it was just unheard of for an Indian person of my generation to say,
Mm-hmm.
actually, mom and dad, I have decided I'm not going to continue with education. That would not have gone down too well. So
Yeah, for sure.
yes, then I ended up in university, and I mean, don't ask me how, but I ended up on a politics degree. I have no idea how this happened, but somehow I found myself there
Wow.
on, a hot summer's afternoon, stood in front of a lecturer that is talking to me about politics, and it was just going over my head. So I went in for a few days, and I just felt like there was something dying inside of me, like something was actually dying within me and I couldn't do this. So I thought, you know what? No, that enough is enough now. I've had enough signs from life that have said this is not the path. You need to listen now. So I remember getting up, walking out of the lecture hall, um, going to a sandwich bar, picking up an egg mayonnaise sandwich, getting on the underground um back home, and it was the best sandwich I ever had in my life because I knew that the train was taking me towards freedom.
Wow.
And that was the moment where I said, right, I need to now start living the life that I want to live.
And did you communicate that to your family or just kept it to just yourself?
I kept it to myself. It was something that could not
Mm,
be shared with parents. Absolutely not.
lovely, lovely. And now looking back at your school days, what was your favorite subject?
My favorite subject. I think I enjoyed science.
Which science exactly?
I think I enjoyed physics.
Mm,
Um, but then I also enjoyed things like, because I always thought that I was not good at art, because there's this idea that you're either born with the ability or you're not, which I think is not correct
so
at all.
Bollywood was not an option for you, eh?
Bollywood was not an option. I mean, you know what? I wouldn't have minded it being an option. I don't think my parents would have been happy about that. But yeah, I think I enjoyed stuff like textiles. Like when
Mm,
you're making stuff, because for me, like my thing was always writing. I loved writing.
mm,
And so as much as I love writing, English wasn't necessarily my favorite subject, but writing was one medium of being able to express myself.
mhm.
But then I also found actually there's other artistic ways as well to be able to express yourself. So yeah, I think textiles is
Mm,
something I enjoyed
nice.
eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. And what subject you couldn't stand?
I hated maths.
Me too.
Yeah. I had a very negative association with maths, so I hated it.
I see. Yeah, same here. Same here. All right. So, and now looking back at your path from the time you were in school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you describe it as something that once you get into one line, so to speak, you just kept at it, was pretty straightforward, smooth sailing, or was it something like twist and turn, changing different directions and industry and careers and all that? How would you describe your path so far?
Yeah, I mean, my path has been nothing but smooth. No, it has been anything but smooth. Sorry, it's not been smooth at all. As a child, I thought to myself, once I've decided what I want to do, then I'll easily be able to walk that path, and I will achieve the things that I want to achieve. That's absolutely what life has not been. And as I was saying earlier, I have found being a human being very, very tough. So, just even the simple things like, getting up in the morning and moving forward with a decision that you made in life. Even little things for me were tough because I was crippled by fear. I was
Mm-hmm.
crippled by the fear of failing, by the fear of being judged by, my culture, society. And as much as I think as a young child, I compensated a lot with kind of acting like I was fearless and I wasn't hurt by people's words. And if
Mm-hmm.
people that didn't know me, they would look at me and say, "Oh, look at Nidhi, like stay away from her, like she's got this like really tough exterior," you know. And so for me at that point to be able to survive was do not ever show anybody your heart, because the moment you do that is a moment that somebody will trample all over it and you will then absolutely fail. So life was all about how do I keep this big enclosure around me, and then how do I move forwards. But it's funny because you can't keep this huge enclosure around you and then move forwards with the thing you want to do in life, because they are
Mm-hmm.
completely in opposition to one another.
Wow.
um
Yes.
so I've done things like I wrote a book.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote a book probably like 7 8 years ago. And the
On
book was
what?
all about, it was a humorous take on what it means to be a human being on this planet, and it's just a hilarious thing that human beings are taught to believe that are actually a complete inversion to what is really going on the planet.
Is your
um
book available online for purchase?
it is, yeah, it's available on Amazon. It's called
Really?
I Dumb, so IDUMB.
Wait, let me just write this down. I dump. Okay.
Yeah. And I think, and it was humorous because these are often heavy topics that people don't necessarily want to talk about. People just want to be asleep to whatever is comfortable in life and pretend like stuff isn't happening. So like I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
make it humorous because it makes it more accessible, to a lot more people.
Mm.
Yes, I wrote that book, and that was the first thing in my life that I was really proud of, because I always I have been just a huge critic of myself. I've always looked at myself and thought, oh, this is not good enough. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You can't do this. And then I write this book,
Mhm.
and like, as narcissistic as this may sound, I used to read my book every night to myself.
Hey, that's beautiful. Hey, there's nothing narcissistic about it. It's just natural, you know.
Yeah, it was the first thing in my life where I thought I'm super proud of this, and so I'm gonna read it every day. Yes, I did that. I then got into coaching, because I was going through my own emotional turmoil, and I was so interested in the potential of the human. I thought, well, I want to get into this. I not only want to be able to help myself, but I want to be able to help others if I can. Yeah, so I got into coaching, and then there was a point that came in life where I felt kind of disillusioned with life once again. I felt
Mhm.
like I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't achieving enough, and so I kind of I left the world of human potential behind, and I wanted to go out and try and figure something else out to do in life. But as life has it, I'm always brought back to the same thing. I'm always brought back to the power of human potential, and so I was brought back once again. I got back into coaching,
Mm.
yeah, and now I'm working on Threshold.
Awesome. So, I'm sure you've heard the saying, "Change your story, change your life." By story, I mean the story that we keep on telling
Yeah.
ourselves all day long, and we all add to the. And when you add to change your story, how did you do it? Did you do it with a friend, with a book, with a mentor? So tell us about the process that you used to change your story so that you can get back closer to your path, your goals and dreams.
So I mean, I'm gonna try and give you the short answer, because that's super
Mm-hmm.
long answer. Something that I've been trying to do for my entire life up to this point. So I recognized from quite a young age that I seem to have become a conditioned version of who I really am, but I don't really know how to now deprogram myself. So how do I
Mm-hmm.
go about doing it? So I remember the first seminar I went to was an Anthony Robbins seminar. He had come to
Oh
London,
wow.
and this is, I think, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't know. It was a long, long time ago. And I think it was Unleash the Power Within. That was the one.
Oh
That was the
yes.
one where we were taught to walk on hot coal.
Did you
Um,
work on call?
I did walk on hot coal. Um,
Wow.
and I remember coming out of it thinking, you know what? Everything I thought about the power of the human being has been confirmed by this giant man standing before me. I'm now going to go out and live an amazing life. But I'm sure a lot of your viewers will resonate with this, in that we go to seminars and we feel really pumped for the weekend. We come out,
Yes.
reality smacks you in the face, and you think, oh, whoa, okay, what do I do now? So my life was actually a lot of that. So I did a lot of
Mm-hmm.
going to seminars, um, buying all the great spiritual coaching books, the emotional books, how to be positive and all this good stuff. I did loads of that, and it's great. I took on a lot of knowledge, but it
Mm-hmm.
was nothing that I was able to actually implement in my life. So my life just carried on looking the same, and the story never really changed. Um, where the story really started to change was in the last couple of years, where I started to actually recognize that if I'm feeling something or if I'm thinking something, I need to stop, and I need to be able to give acceptance to that part of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of trying to run away, trying to distract, trying to fix. None of that works, because those parts of you that are the loudest and are the angriest, they're always gonna hunt you down. Um,
Very true.
so the story really started to change in the last couple of years when I said, okay, no more running, no more hiding, no more distracting. I'm going to stop, and I'm just going to sit, and I'm going to face those parts of me that make me
Mm-hmm.
feel the most uncomfortable about being me. And the more that I started to do that, the two aspects of who I was, they started to merge into one full human being. And this is a journey that will go on forever. And I'm happy about that. That's fine. But yes, only recently has the story really started to change, and has my environment started to reflect that change back to me.
Awesome. Wow. That's a good one. I like that. Tell us now a little bit about your business. What do you do?
Yeah. So I recently created something called Threshold. This is something that I'm particularly proud of, because it's got a really important mission. So basically, in a nutshell, Threshold is an online audio tour guide that helps you get through your resistance and cross the finish line, if there is something that you are trying to create in life. So I really do feel as though every single human being on this planet, regardless of our circumstance and condition, every human being has something that is purely unique to us, that we have come here to express out into the world, not only just for ourselves but also for the rest of the planet to also experience.
Hmm.
Because that is how consciousness works, right? We have a special unique way of participating in this consciousness.
Yes.
um and I feel like every single human being, even for those of us that think, well, what is it? I don't know what it is. What is my purpose? I don't know. I think that every human being hears something within them. They hear the whispers of their
Hmm.
heart. They hear something that's constantly navigating them towards their true north. And it can be really uncomfortable, and it can be scary because it's the unknown, but everyone has access to this part of us. Um, and ultimately, if we are able to listen to this voice, and if we're able to orient back to our home, you know, and when I
Hmm.
when I say home, I'm referring to the part of us that exists before we became programmed, before we became conditioned, that the purest, truest part of us. If we can dedicate our lives to be able to walk back home, in the expression of the uniqueness of ourselves, I think that we will end up creating just a lot more happier, fulfilled, joyous human beings. And if
Hmm.
we are more happier, more fulfilled, more joyous, then the way that our
Of
world looks
course.
will also change. You know,
Of course.
so yeah, so threshold is all about being able to finally hear that voice within that is telling us what it is that we need to express out into the world. And then if you feel like you're being slapped by resistance, every day you wake up and you think, I can't do this. What am I doing? I'm confused. Who do I think I am? There's so much resistance that all of us are being just completely just overrun by. What you would do, you log on to Threshold, and Threshold in that moment will take you through a process to be able to overcome the resistance of the day. And then it snaps you back into doing the thing that you need to do,
Hmm.
because I feel like there is nothing more important on this planet than the ability to start something and then actually finish it. Because every single time we finish the thing that we know we need to do, we are getting a step closer to the truest and purest form of ourselves.
Totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. And not just finish the whole project, even if it's finishing a small little task, so I can, build on our self confidence and say, see, we can do it. One of the best definition of self confidence that I saw by a guy. It's one of my favorite podcaster, Ed Milet, said, "True self confidence is keeping your word to yourself. When you say
Mhm.
that you will do something, it's not about, okay, I'm going to do this for you tomorrow. No, that's not really, you know, true self confidence is when you say something, you know that you will do it. You keep your word, most importantly, to the most important person in the world, which is yourself. If
Yeah,
you can keep your word to
absolutely.
yourself, then you will become unstoppable. People will know that what you say is actually, you mean it, actually has value, as opposed to just, okay, whatever. So
Absolutely. That is, yeah, that is so powerful. And I really love that.
mhm.
And I mean, I love that to the point where it's so important for us to be able to keep our word to ourselves, because the more that we do
Mhm.
that, the more that we then take our sovereignty back. Why do we feel like we're out of control? Why do we feel like we've given our power away to authorities outside of us? Because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. you
And
know
also, another thing that I noticed with talking with other amazing people on my podcast is that we need to listen to our most powerful voice, which is our intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition comes directly from our soul, from the universe, God, and the intuition's main purpose is to protect us, to guide us, and to help us. And since we're a kid, we are conditioned to repress that so that we can be, we can be polite and we can be nice to people. But sometimes it's not our best interest. Instead, we need to listen to that intuition, because just like you said, anything we need some advice or whatever, we seek for guidance and advice from outside sources, whether it's family, friends, teachers, boss, or God forbid the government. Whereas we come here equipped with all the material required and necessary to face and find any answer that we need. It's already here within ourselves. All we have to do is
Yeah,
just look
completely.
inward and
Yeah, and
listen
I
more
would say,
carefully to your intuition. Yeah.
yeah, completely. Yeah. And I would say that sovereignty and taking our sovereignty back really comes from the ability to be able to hear those silent whispers that are always talking to us from within, and for us to be able to stop and say, yeah, you know what? I'm finally gonna listen now. I'm gonna follow. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who would you say is your ideal client for your business?
So I would say somebody that has spent some time questioning what it is that they're doing with their life.
Mm,
Somebody that has the awareness to be able to stop, to wake
mm-hmm,
up a little bit from your everyday rigmarole, and to say, okay, you know what is it that I'm doing? And then those people that have asked that question and they've come up with the answer, perhaps not an answer that they like, because the thing that is unique to us that we need to express out into the world may not
mm-hmm,
be immediately the thing that you jump for joy, that makes you jump for joy, but it is absolutely the thing that we need to go out and do in the world. So those people that have been able to question themselves and come up with the answer and recognize, okay, this is the thing that I want to do in the world. I want to be able to express it out into the world no matter what. But I'm struggling with the bit before that, which is all the resistance that comes before that, and the resistance that is actually encouraged by society. Like look at consumerism, distractions, entertainment. There's nothing wrong with these things if you're in control of these things. If you're not in control of these things, which for the most part a lot of us are not, you're not going to go out and overcome your resistance. You're just not going to do it. So
mm-hmm.
it's for those people that recognize, yeah, this is what I want to do, but I do have an issue of how do I cross the finish line.
Okay. But have you laser targeted the type of a profile of the your ideal client avatar? Like, say for example, women in their 30s that do this and that, because you know the the most important thing is identifying a very specific person with a very specific issue. So, for example, for me, my business for e-commerce, my ideal client is someone that is heart-minded, and they're a young professional that is heart-minded, that also wants to build something that is impactful, for example. So do you have anything? And just to give you another example, I had a guest, just a couple of the amazing lady from Hong Kong. She was actually born in Germany, raised in Germany, but then she moved back to Hong Kong to just be, because that's where she's from, and also because that's where the most opportunities are for work and business. And then as she was climbing up the ladders of the corporate world, she was making a lot of money, but then she felt empty. She felt unfulfilled because she was not passionate about that. But instead, what she was passionate about was she wanted to do something that was clear to her heart. So we were talking, while talking to her and brainstorming, we realized that for her, for example, the ideal client customer is actually it has to be someone that actually can be as close to you, because as I said earlier, it's all about being able to relate with you, to relate, see you as one of their own. So for her, after talking to her, we realized that for her, our ideal client would be females in corporate world in Hong Kong in their 30s and 40s, or sick and tired of the corporate world and just want to start something that they're more passionate about, something that when someone listened to her, say, hey, that is directly speaking to me. They see her as her, not just like, oh, just another generalist. It's about being a very specific, specialist. So, for example, for you, we have you been able to do like a very specific profile of your client avatar? Like say women in the
Um,
30s, 40s in the corporate world were sick and tired of whatever.
yeah,
The more clear it can be, the better, because it's all about connecting, relating with them, and understanding their number one pain point. And then your coaching, your product, your service, that's a solution to that problem. And if you can achieve that, then your message is going to be magnetic.
yeah. So to answer your question, the long and short of it is no. And I think, honestly speaking, the reason why I haven't boiled it down to specifics just yet is because that's one of my personal resistances, in that I feel like I want to help the whole world. And so for me to then start like whittling it down to
Mhm.
a certain sect of society, like that almost upsets me. And I absolutely agree with you. You're right. The more understanding I have of my avatar, the better I am then able to create what it is that I'm creating to be able to solve their problem. But for me, I just feel like at the moment, at least, I feel like it's such a universal problem,
Mhm.
of knowing that there's something that I want to do, I want to create it, but there's so much resistance. How do I overcome it? So I kind of at the moment I'm there, like that is where I am. I haven't really got to the point of okay,
Mhm.
who exactly is the avatar?
Yeah, I hear your passion. You really have a good heart. You want to help everyone. But from what I experienced myself and talking with other coaches, and even from my own experience, help trying to help everyone with all the problems. That's something that only God can do. And you and me were not God. So instead, we just focus on just one person with one thing, as that person to be as close to us as possible. Like just talking to you for the past hour or so, a very obvious avatar client is just emerging. And if I can share that with you, it's, for example, if
Yeah.
I were you, I would target, say, women and the UK of Indian origins that are having this issues, that internal issues, that between what society and family expect them to do and what they really want to do. That's yes, that's a smaller target, smaller niche, but it's a very specific niche that can keep you very fulfilled, very busy, and very happy for not just for this lifetime, but many lifetimes. So if I were you, I would focus honing just on that demography, because again, it's all about connecting. They seeing you as one of their own, like you're an Indian, an English woman with from Indian background. You've gone to the problem that they are facing, so you understand them better than anyone else. It's all about connecting, understanding at the deepest level. And for you, honestly, that would be the no brainer. Just focus on. I would go, if I were you, I would go straight up, targeting the female, and the UK, say in the 30s, 40s, whatever, of Indian origin, that are battling this internal battle between what family and expectation and culture expect them and what they want to do. Maybe they're stuck in a corporate career that they don't like. Maybe they're making good money, but the heart is not into it. And you help them finding the purpose, and giving them, most importantly, inspiring them and giving them the courage, because it takes a lot of courage to go against what society, especially in a culture that's very traditional, like the Indian culture. If you can
Mm,
target that community, you would be, honestly, doubt, it's gonna always gonna make you very, very fulfilled, because you're helping people that you really understand, you can really relate, and most importantly, they can see you as one of their own. For example, if I were to go after helping, let's say, the women in the UK of Indian origin, they will not see me as one of their own. I cannot relate with them. I do not understand them. Sure, I can spend the time and invest the time to learn, but that's a waste of time. And ultimately, I'm not one of their own. They will not relate and connect with me at the deepest level. But if you were to do that, it was, hey, she's one of us. Automatically, have this trust factor with them that me or other people would not have. So you have an amazing asset right now. I wouldn't fight it. I would embrace it. And again, I know you come from a good place, that you want to help everyone because you have a good heart. But again, keep that in mind. Me and you, we're not God. Helping everyone with all the problem, that's only something that God can do. But if we can help a very specific person with only one very specific problem, then we can be the God for them. We can help them change their lives. Just like you said, help them reclaim their sovereignty. So honestly, for you, that would be a no-brainer. Again, that's just my personal, understanding from our short conversation right here. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's very interesting because when I've been asked in the past, who is it that you would like to help?
Mhm.
I always say me. So who's me?
So find a bunch of views.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. So absolutely. So what you just said, that makes a lot of sense. It's me. Yeah.
So exactly. So if that can help you with having more clarity as to who you need to help, that can really transform your business, because it's going to make your message, it's going to switch your message from being, I'm not saying it is, from salesy and business to be more magnetic.
Mm,
Make it magnetic. And how do you make it magnetic? By really understanding the person, connecting with them deep down. And the best way to do it is go after someone that you understand, and you
right.
understand yourself better than anyone. So if there's something that you as an English woman of Indian origin has, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's a bunch of others that have the same issue.
Right.
Sure, the market
Yeah.
is pretty small, but then you don't have to limit yourself just to the UK. You can do the Indian woman, say, in Europe, and North America and Australia, or even in India. You have a
Right.
massive, 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 almost endless market out there, that of women that can really connect at the deepest level with you, and they will see you as one of their own. Ultimately, they will see you as their hero, the person is going to help them reclaim the courage, because it's all about courage to stand against what society wants them to do and follow their heart. And if you can achieve that for that specific demography, you're
Mm,
going to be happy, fulfilled, and very successful,
yeah.
much much more than if you were to go after everyone. Because again, when I was talking to this Hong Kong lady, she's taking a coaching program, and her coach told her, listen, if you're trying to help everybody, you're not speaking to anyone, because your
Mm,
message is too
yeah.
limited, too vague. Just like, for example, a surgeon is more valuable and highly more paid than, say, a general practitioner. It's for a reason, because people want specialists.
Right.
Sure, it's good
Yeah.
to know and
Absolutely.
understand a lot of things, but if you can become the go-to in one specific area, you're golden. And for you,
Yeah.
it's very obvious, even for someone that doesn't know you. We just met today, just talking after what, half an hour. It's very obvious. Sometimes we need to get that kind of feedback from an unbiased person, because sometimes something that we take for granted, we don't see it. We need a fresh pair of eyes to tell us that.
For
And if
sure.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying, if that can accomplish that for you, then I would feel that this would basically make my day, because I actually help someone in a
Yeah.
valuable way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes absolute sense. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Very welcome. So yeah, now they say knowledge is power, information is power. I agree 50%. Knowledge is power if acted upon.
Yeah.
Information is power when acted upon. So now that you have this knowledge, don't just sit on it. Act on it.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be a bit of a shame if with what I'm doing, which is all about
Mhm.
crossing the finish line, I sat here and didn't cross the finish line.
Mhm. No, you're there. Of
Yeah.
course, you're there. You just need to. I mean, I'm not saying you don't need to, but you just probably need to readjust your course just a few degrees
Yeah.
to the right direction. Not saying change everything, just change the target, because you want to be as laser focused as possible. And if you can do that, and for you, you're blessed, because for you it's very obvious. It's not, if you were someone that was, just like, say, born and raised in the UK, from a UK background, it might have been more complex. But
Yeah.
for you, because you have this connection with the Indian culture and the UK culture, and then you can very easily expand that, as I said, beyond the borders of the UK, like Europe, North America, Australia, New Zealand, even India. So
Yeah.
that's, again, find, just like you said yourself, what problem do I have myself? And if you have one problem yourself, you can bet anything you want that there's a lot of other people in the same issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it makes so much sense, and certainly something for me to now go away and think about, because it's
Mm-hmm.
been something that has been needing to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have this thing of I want to help the whole world, I've kind of been sort of avoiding it a little bit. So yeah, no, fantastic that it's gone in this direction. Yeah.
Again, always keep in mind, yes, it's great that you want to help the world, but you're not God. We're not God. That's something that only God can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm just happy that for you that to provide any valuable feedback for you, and if that can really help you, then I'd be very happy as well. So
No, absolutely. Of course. I mean, that's what these conversations are about, right? Like things come up
mhm,
that you least expect,
absolutely,
and then they can be
absolutely,
absolutely impactful. So thank you so much for that.
very welcome. Now, let me ask you. The theme of this podcast is leaders with a heart, meaning, people are building impactful businesses. For me, as I said earlier, I am launching a physical product soon, and for each unit I sell, I will be donating a pair of eyeglasses to someone that needs eyeglasses but cannot afford it. And that's a major issue in the world because right now, almost a billion people cannot even afford something as simple as a pair of eyeglasses. So, what would you say for you is a cause that you're most passionate about, and when your business gets successful, you would like to help and contribute towards that cause?
I mean, there's so many things, there are so many varied things that I'm interested in, and to be able to help. But the thing that first intuitively always comes to me is if I am able to help people take their sovereignty back,
Mm-hmm.
then that is my most and major cause. Because if a human being can recognize that they have the power within them, then that means that they can go out and create any life that they want.
True. That's very true. I agree with that. Now, let me ask you now some fun questions. Imagine now that you add a time machine and you can go back and sit face to face with your 18-year-old self. Knowing all that you know now, what would be the number one piece of advice you would give to your 18-year-old self?
Okay, so my 18-year-old self was a hot mess. So I would go back and I would say to her, don't take other people's opinions of what it is that they think you should be doing in life to heart. Because
Mm-hmm.
other people's opinions of what they think you should be doing is based on the things that they have failed at.
Mm-hmm.
And so they never know, it's nothing personal, but no one's ever really going to be able to give you unbiased advice.
Sure.
That advice is always going to be based on their shortcomings in life. So if there's
Mm.
something that you feel like you really need to go out and do in life, please just go out and do it.
Love that. Love that. And now, do you have your own podcast?
I don't know. No. I have a
Wait.
blog, but I don't have a podcast.
Oh wow, awesome! That's a good start. So imagine that you have your podcast, and it's a successful podcast, and today you have the most amazing guest in the world, the most special guest in the world, which is yourself. What will be the first question that you want to ask yourself? And what I mean by first question, I don't want you to think too much. What is the first question that comes spontaneously to your mind?
First question.
Again, don't think too much. The first thing that comes to your mind.
I think it would probably be something along the lines of what is the next book that you want to write?
Ooh, and what's the answer?
Um, I think the answer would be, and actually a book that I've kind of been working on for a few years, and at some point, obviously, I would like to finish it. It would be um, about a young lady, of course, me, and she goes on a journey um, of finally getting back to understanding how powerful she always really was. So it's kind of like a sci-fi spiritual funny journey where she
Mm-hmm.
meets beings from a planet that maybe we've never heard of or seen before, and these people are able to observe her life in a funny way and help her back to who she really was.
You know what I noticed talking to you is that you're very passionate not only about helping people reclaim their sovereignty, but also you're very passionate about writing books. Maybe you can
Yes.
combine the two together. So why not? That could be something. I'm just thinking out loud, maybe speculating. Why not helping women, for example, of Indian descent in the Western world to write the book they always dreamt about? That could be something.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
And to express their deepest feelings, dreams, hopes through the creativity of their book. I'm just, again, I don't know you too much, but from what we just talk, I can see that you're really passionate about writing books, and through your books to express yourself and help people, inspire others. Maybe that could be something that would be part of your calling. Inspire, help women of the same background as you to write, to express the inner feelings, to express their creativity through books. Not only
yeah,
to do that, but also to inspire others. That could be a very beautiful mission.
yeah, yeah. No, that's very interesting. I've never actually thought of it like that. I've always thought of me as a writer, just me, and
There you
other
go.
people they will consume my writing. So that's a very interesting way of looking at it. Yeah,
A writer needs an audience, and your audience can be, if you laser target the demography I just mentioned to you, that could be a very receptive audience to your work.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
again, they come from the same background, they have to face the same challenges, biases from family, culture, tradition, whatever. So you understand that better than anyone else from an outsider. So you have this amazing asset.
yeah.
It's just, it's just laying dormant, just on the surface, just as begging to be unleashed.
Mm,
You know.
that's a very interesting take, Payment. I've never heard that before.
Well, that's what I love about this podcast, is to talk and help each other.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. That's really beautiful. Actually, I love that. Yeah,
You're welcome. So yeah, make sure, again, as I said, information is power only if acted upon.
yeah,
So once this
completely.
podcast is live, maybe I would recommend you re-listen to it, take some notes, and then just put a place a game plan towards that,
Yeah, yeah,
because that could be an absolutely amazing, not only niche but a very fulfilling business to go after, because you're passionate about writing, you're passionate about inspiring, and you combine the two together. It's jackpot.
yeah,
It's what we all aspire to.
yeah, yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so when I mention the word superpower, personal superpower, what comes to mind? And what would you say is your personal superpower?
So I mean, when anytime I hear superpower, obviously my mind first goes to superpowers, of the comic books and the books.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a child, like I grew up watching all that stuff. I loved Batman and
What's your
Superman,
favorite
Spider-Man,
super? What was your favorite superhero?
superhero. Um, my favorite, I think one of them was Hellboy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I loved Hellboy. I thought, wow, this guy is just brilliant, and he looks great. I would like to be him when I get older. Yeah, but I think my personal superpower, I think one of the things, and it's something that I've only recently come to accept because a lot of us, when someone compliments us, we don't really know how to take it.
Hmm.
So one of my things always was people would say to me that you have something magnetic about you, and I feel like I want to tell you my entire life story.
Hmm.
And I used to think, well, maybe that's just because I'm a good listener.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think maybe a good listener, and also the fact that there is just something innate within me when I sit down with someone. It could be someone that maybe I've met 10 minutes ago, and they just feel really safe and they want to be able to share everything about them with me.
Hmm.
And obviously I'm all about holding that, in a safe container. So yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that's one of my superhero
awesome.
powers.
Now, speaking of superhero, let's say that you were contacted by God, and he will tell you, "Listen, Nidhi, you've been an amazing human being, and as a way for me to reward you, I want to grant you one superpower for the rest of your life. Which one would it be? A superpower that you currently do not have."
Oh, that's a really good question. Hmm. Oh gosh, that's really good. What would I? What would I have?
Please don't say make Liverpool invincible.
No, no, see, I don't need to say that because that's already happening. So that's fine. But I think I don't know. I guess maybe on off the top of my head, it would be. I think so. At the moment, I recognize that I'm able to inspire people, but it'd probably be to be able to inspire people into action and actually changing their lives. So you know, you put someone in front of me. Yes, I can do the inspiring bit, but I'd also want to ensure that that person is able to cross the finish line. You know, and obviously, you know, when you're on a mission, you can't take responsibility for the person. You know, the person
Mhm.
will take the information and they will do with it what they will. But it would be, yes, I can take this person and actually take them over the finish line.
Okay, so let me put you to the test. How would you inspire me? Inspire me, just like and the Wolf of Wall Street. The guy said, "Okay, sell me this pen." How would you inspire me?
Um, okay, so I mean, really, you know, it would be payment. Like, you know, are you like, do you feel like when you wake up every morning, do you really feel like the person that wakes up is the truest, most purest version of yourself?
I would like to say so, but I know that it's not, and I have a lot of work to do to get there.
Right. Okay. And are you aware of the sort of work that needs to happen for you to be able to close that gap?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And as
Okay.
long as I can do just, again, as I said earlier, it's not a matter of completing everything the same day. As long as I
Yeah.
can do even 1% each day, then I'd be happy.
Right. Yeah. Because I think, you know, for me, one of the most inspiring things for me to hear and for me to also say to not only you, but to everyone, to the whole world,
Mhm.
is always that if we wake up every morning with an absolute honest intention to be the
Mhm.
best version of ourselves of that day, you know, like this isn't motivational stuff like, yeah, wake up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do something. Not that. It's more the tougher stuff that is sometimes quite it's like sometimes it feels like it's eating us up on the inside, but we don't necessarily know how to face it. We don't necessarily know how to face, you know, those dark components of us. So for me, it'd always be, are you ensuring that you're waking up every morning and you are facing those aspects of yourself to
Mhm.
then go off and create the stuff that you actually want to create in that day? You know, so like
Love that.
it's really about self honesty, and I think that a lot of us think that we're being honest with ourselves. But
Mhm.
actually, if we just stopped and we took stock of how honest we're being with ourselves, we'd recognize actually I'm cutting a lot of corners because being honest takes a lot of courage.
Oh yeah, a lot. Being honest is probably one of the most, especially honest with yourself, is one
Right.
of the most difficult thing you can do, because we are our greatest critics, and when you look at yourself in a very naked way, that can be very uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what life is, right? Life is a constant attempt at trying to run away from that aspect of us. You know,
That's so
and
true.
that and then that's ultimately where suffering comes from.
That is so true. Well, listen, Nidhi, we can talk for hours and hours. You have such a beautiful soul, and you have such an amazing, vision and all that. But let's wrap things up. We definitely have to do a follow up maybe in a few months once your business is going, so you can see how things are
Yes.
going and how you've inspired women. We're gonna do that in a few months.
I love
So,
that. Yeah.
any last words of wisdom that you want to share with us? Any parting tips?
I just think I would like everyone to remember, you know, even when you're feeling at your lowest and you feel like you are completely out of control and you are not able to control the direction of your life,
Mhm.
just remember that the authority of your life lives within you. And the more self referenced you are, the more likely you are to go out and create what is important to you in life.
Love that. Absolutely amazing. Amazing. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
So you can get onto the website, which is threshold, so THRESHOLD dot today, threshold dot
Hmm.
today. I
Yep.
have an email on there, so, you know, so please contact me, send me an email. Um, and let's talk because I like talking to people.
Yes, I can see that. So you say your website is the best way to connect with you, and you said you have your email listed on the site.
Yeah, yeah. So you can just go on the contact me bit, and then there's a little box
Okay.
in there. Just put your message in there. But then
Okay.
I am on Facebook as well if you want to connect with me on Facebook. So my name Nidhi Bhatia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put all that in the show notes. Okay. And let me see. I think we covered everything here. Oh, and just one last question I forgot to ask you. I love to ask everyone. Let's say that you were to become the president, not of the UK, but of the world. What would you do to make the world a better place? What would be the first thing you would do to make the world a better place?
Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is I would get rid of the present schooling system. Um, and the reason why I would do that, not because I have anything against it, I just feel like there's a better way. And what I would do is I would have children from, the point of maybe 3, 4 years old up until 15, 16. I would have them learn through being in connection to nature and being in connection to that divine that exists within. So if we're able to connect a child to that part of themselves as opposed to remove a child from that part of themselves,
Hmm.
I think that we would literally end up living on a planet that is like heaven.
I love that. Where do I sign to make you become the leader of the world? Come on, just tell me, and I would sign up right away. Because the education system definitely needs to be changed because it's completely obsolete in a lot of ways. But that's a topic for another thing. Don't get me started on that. So,
Yeah.
all right, Nidhi, listen, it's absolute honor, pleasure. I'm so glad that your brother connected. That I first of all connected to your brother, got connected to him, and then he connected me to you. I have a belief that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
When their time is right, God, the universe, put the right people in front of your path
for sure.
to and I'm so glad that we connected. So with this, I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. You're an enlightened soul with a beautiful
Thank
heart.
you.
So stay safe. God bless. And again, remember, knowledge is power when acted upon. So take action on
Absolutely.
what we discussed about, because you're sitting on absolute, absolute, absolute gold mine right now. You have no idea.
Yeah.
That just needs to. It is actually begging. I can feel it. The vibration, just like a volcano about to explode, just begging to be unleashed, screaming for you. Just hear me, hear me. Just like you said, you need to listen to your soul, to your intuition, and I can feel just from our first time we talk, this the energy. I can feel it, that this is what is literally screaming to be heard.
Yeah. I'm excited. Very excited.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and an amazing and a blessed week. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you so
Bye
much,
bye.
Payman. Thank you. Bless you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.